up, everybody? Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. Today, it's schedule release Thursday, but before we get to the schedule, Fred Gaudelli, Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame member, is going to join us. Now, Fred has been on before. You remember he is the guy who implemented so many of the most creative aspects of broadcasting sports television in America, both in baseball and football while at ESPN. And then he's been the executive producer at NBC for Sunday Night Football since the inception, since NBC got Sunday Night Football back in 2006. He is going to remain with NBC as a senior advisor, but he's also moving on to Amazon, where he is going to be the executive producer of their Thursday Night Football package. There is nobody more well qualified to talk about the product that you ingest through your device, your television, your laptop, whatever, than Fred Gaudelli. As the executive producer, he's the one who puts the stories together. He's the one, the story of the game together. He's the one who asks for the shots. He and so many others make it possible, but he's the conductor. And he sat in a million production meetings with Tom Brady. So the reason I wanted to have him in was to talk to him about Tom Brady and what he thinks it'll take for Brady to be an outstanding commentator, since we know he's going to Fox on a 10-year deal when he's done playing. So Fred's going to be in, and then after Fred, in comes Phil Perry to discuss the Patriots' schedule. But first, Fred. And here he is, the legend, Fred Gaudelli, the guy who is responsible for so many incredible broadcasts. The Patriots have given you so much good football, but it passed through the mind and the hands and the brain of this guy, Fred Gaudelli, who oversaw so many of those great telecasts. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Tom, and that's a fact. They've given us some great ones.
It's unreal. Tom Brady?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I was probably as surprised as anyone. I've been doing Tom's game since 2001 and have met with him countless times. I never really got the impression that this was something he would be interested in. I don't know, after seeing Peyton and, although Peyton's setup is much different than what he's going to be doing, but I was really surprised that you could, whenever he retires, that he could say to his wife, hey, I'm going to go do 20 some odd road games this year. But obviously he got the okay. So I am, like everybody else, definitely looking forward to what he brings to the show.
What's the true time commitment that's necessary for a guy who's going to do the premier game on a premier channel every week?
I can only judge by, when I had, Joe Theismann and John Madden and Chris Collinsworth, and, those guys were all in. They were in for a good 6 days a week, and not a 40-hour week. So working with Chris the last 13 years, 11 years, he really grinds the entire week for the entire season. Watching tape, doing research, speaking to coaches, all those things. Now, Tom will have the advantage the first couple of years of his career that Tony Romo did, where he's just off the field. He knows the players, he knows the schemes, he knows the signals, he knows all those things. But the further you get away from it, obviously things change, people change, schemes change. And, he's kind of in that boat as someone else. So it's a pretty lofty commitment if you're going to be great.
And especially since you're talking about a guy who desires to be great in everything he does and doesn't see any Everest that he doesn't want to scale and put his plant his flag at the top of. He's probably not going to settle for that. And I'm guessing there's going to be some fits and starts. Everyone's not going to say Tom Brady's the greatest analyst we've ever heard. I wonder how he deals with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would never bet against him just because we've seen him defy everything for, the length of his career, from where he was picked to what he accomplished to how long he's played. So he's not a guy that I would line up and willfully bet against. But there'll be some things that are out of his control. He's going to have to learn, a new business. But he's a different guy, in Tampa than he was in New England. He's definitely a force on social media and entertaining. So he gets that communication. He gets that engagement. He's been able to produce his own documentaries, which are, he's done a great job with those. I mean, Tom versus Tom, I loved. I didn't see a lot of Man in the Arena, but I've heard great things about it. But that's him controlling it. But now he's joining a team, and he's joining a really great team at Fox, with their production staff and all of that. But he's going to have to, see how that all fits in, and there'll be a lot of new experiences. But, again, I can't see him jumping in and say, hey, I'm going to do this half-heartedly. So, I would expect that you'll get his best, and then we'll see how great his best can be.
You think he's an interesting guy to speak with? Because I do. I think he's not without opinions.
No, totally. All those years of production meetings, Tom was extremely helpful. He didn't really deflect very many questions. I mean, he would tell you what was on his mind, and you knew where you could go, and in terms of bringing it on the air, and where you might not want to go. But he's thoughtful. He's extremely thoughtful. I'd be surprised if he's not going to be very good. How long that takes, I don't know, but I think he's going to be pretty good.
Wild, wild west in sports media right now. The NFL continues to be just the great white shark of all media. And we've now got Amazon involved, which you've joined on to be executive producer of. We see a musical chairs going on. Fox has filled their void of Buck and Aikman with now Brady and Kevin Burkhardt. What's your take on this from someone inside the arena?
Somebody called it silly season, and this is the silliest of them all. The amount of money that got thrown around here. And, I think everybody should send Tony Romo a box of chocolates because he kind of kicked it off, with the contract that he signed a year ago. But, I truthfully do not believe that any announcer will bring one more person or one less person to a game that someone wants to watch. Mm-hmm. But I also strongly believe that your viewing experience is either enhanced or not, by who's calling the game or what network is, producing the game. So I understand why the powers that be want to have great booths. But when you factor in what everyone's going to be paying, in the next TV deal, and the fact, and obviously we've all tried to make up for it by streaming and things of that nature, and then throw on these salaries. I mean, I'm not sure where, after, Troy and those guys signed their deals, I didn't think it'd go much higher. Then obviously Tom came in and blew it away. And I think if Peyton wanted to do a conventional broadcast, mm-hmm. he'd probably command that kind of money as well.
How many brave new worlds out there are left to be conquered? What are you seeing from like the USFL with its use of drones that makes you say, hey, that's not a bad, because I know you're an innovator.
Yeah, the drone stuff to me, in terms of game coverage, what I've seen is sometimes a little disorienting. And I'm sure that people, to me, the audio is what I love. When you hear the coaches calling the plays in, when you hear the coordinator up in the box calling the plays in, when you can hear everything at the line of scrimmage and the quarterback being mic'd, the fact that the cameras can get into the bench area, the fact that you can talk to players and coaches during the game, that to me, is, the NFL is the one league that has pretty much been able to keep that at bay, but I'm not sure for how much longer. We're watching players, in a baseball game, having a conversation, running down a fly ball, starting a double play, all those things. And the game is no worse for wear. And it really ratchets up the enjoyment for the viewers. So I'm hoping we're going to get closer to that in the NFL, if not this season, pretty quickly.
And that's really, it's where you have tradition-bound, hidebound coaches like Bill Belichick. There is a new, for every Bill, there's a McVay. Not to say that they don't share a football mind, but they might share a different football outlook.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is benign. How long have we watched major league coaches, from Joe Torre to Terry Francona to, name your favorite Major League Baseball coach, doing these interviews between innings. They're two questions. They're benign. But it does take the viewer someplace he can't go in the middle of a game, and that's to talk to the manager. And the NBA's been doing it. And, this year we saw it on the Final Four, and hockey's done it. And like I said, when I think it was the Sunday night game a few weeks ago where Lindor was mic'd up, and in the middle of the conversation, he started a unassisted double play, so, as long as you're not hurting the game or detracting from the game, it's a big competition for eyeballs these days, and people have a lot of choices, and you got to keep them engaged.
Same thing happened, I think, with Kike Hernandez. It was a single up the middle, and he said, I'm going to play him over here. And he goes, here it comes. Yeah. I mean, you could easily go to Belichick on the sidelines, offense on the field, because he's generally just watching the offense. I mean, he's separated from the side. He could say, look, they're killing us with this short stuff.
Yeah.
Got to stop it. He
would be the last on this drive, besides scoring a touchdown, what do you want to establish here? I mean, yeah, there's a million things you could answer. And again, I just think it just keeps the audience engaged and entertained a little bit longer. So I'm hoping that we can break through, on, some more audio, and some live interactions during the game.
My last question, for narrative purposes, is the 2022 season as chock full as any you've seen in a long time? It used to be, you had the two King Kong Godzilla fight between Manning and Brady, and then the NFC, whatever was going on over there. But now it's complete transitions throughout the league. It's musical chairs, it's trades, it's coaches. It's different.
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, the storylines for this upcoming season are plentiful. There is no shortage. And I mean, look, it's crazy to say this, but it just feels like the schedule overall is better because there's so many interesting games. Well, now you have Wilson and Mahomes twice a year. Mm-hmm. You have the Patriots going to Vegas. Everybody's going to be interested in McDaniels. And we've seen it before, but it's been a long time, since we've seen it. Brady's schedule is insane. I mean, they've got a rough schedule, and he's going to be on national TV more times than he isn't by a good margin this year because his games are so good.
Yeah. Well, hey, you've been great. Best of luck with everything in Amazon. It's got to be exciting for you, is it?
Without a doubt, because, it's funny. I was at Amazon the last couple of days, and, this game is seen in a player, whether it's on a computer or a phone or an iPad or whatever screen you're watching on. But there's going to be some really cool features that you don't get normally on an NFL broadcast. And I think the hardcore NFL fans are really going to appreciate it. So I'm pretty gunned up about it, and can't wait to get going. And, with Alan Kirk, we've got a little bit of a unique sound coming.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Those two guys working together. Al is absolutely indefatigable, huh?
The best ever.
Yes. Best ever is in a walk. Hey, Fred, thank you so much. Really appreciate your insight, buddy.
Tom, always great to be here. Thanks.
All right, folks, in comes the senator, and here comes the schedule, folks. I wanted to get this out ahead of the curve here, so we're jumping. Okay, there might be an inaccuracy here and there on the time or something, and maybe there's going to be a game that's, well, I don't know, maybe it's off by a day, but we get the general gist of the schedule. Here it is. Patriots are going 8-9 in 2022. That's how it looks on May 12th. Phil, let's roll through it. We have the opener against Miami at Miami on 9/11. That's a loss.
Hard to argue with you there. That game in Miami is usually pretty tough for the Patriots. Two things to consider, though. Number one, you're not dealing with the heat quite as being quite as severe a change as it is when
not going to be a shock to the
go
system.
To Miami late in the year. And first game as a head coach for head coach Mike McDaniel, who, God bless him, very smart guy.
Yeah,
very interested. I am personally very interested to see how this whole thing goes with Mike McDaniel down in Miami, and it's his first go round. So, but I would agree with you. If we had to peg it today, I'd probably give him an L there.
It's funny too, because the chances of there being some kind of story that emanates from this game around 6:00 where Mike McDaniel goes, yeah, security wouldn't let me in. They didn't think I actually coached the team. 50-50. They are at Pittsburgh in week 2 against Mason Rudolph and the Steelers. That's a win. 1-1 of the Patriots after 2 games.
Yes, they are. Too much quarterback uncertainty there. Pittsburgh's defense is pretty damn good, but I just love that game. But just going back to the last pod, love that game for the fans to go to. Early season, weather's probably pretty good. Fun city, walkable city. Get your tickets now, folks. Get them now.
Yeah, a lot of Joe Judge high fives and clapping on the back with Mac Jones and Matt Patricia, the three of them just glad handing all over the sidelines because they are where they thought they'd be. Back home to play the Ravens in Lamar, and it's the first time they really see one of those spry little quarterbacks. And believe it or not, Patriots put up a hell of a fight, but they lose to the Ravens 20-19. Key first down picked up on the last drive by Lamar Jackson, slithering out of the tackle of Cam McGrone.
Oh, see, I think McGrone makes that tackle and the Patriots actually win that game. I kind of like that matchup for the Patriots. This is another team that you look at, another team meaning I think people look at the Patriots this way, and you look at their offense, Tom. Their starting receivers right now are Rashad Bateman, who's a first-round pick last year, but hasn't done anything, Devin Duvernay, and James Prochet, the second. That might be the worst. That might be the worst receiving core in football right now. I don't think this is a great Ravens team. So I got them winning this game. I have them winning this one. So I got them at 2-1 to start the year.
Yeah, but they had a good draft. All right. Finishing the first quarter of the season, the Patriots will travel to the Packers for their first nationally televised game, meaning it's going to be in that 4:25 slot. They're at the Packers on 10-2. It's a loss. They lose 31-20 in Green Bay.
Yeah, it's probably one of those you just pencil in now and you just feel like, they're not quite probably at that level just yet. I know they lost Devontae Adams, but that's a toughie.
1-3. We've seen this movie before. The Patriots sometimes start slowly in the first quadrant of the season. Now they have the Lions. Huge revenge game for Matt Patricia. However, it is at Gillette Stadium. Matt Patricia gets the last laugh. The Patriots take out Dan Campbell and company 23-16.
Yeah, I've got them at 3-2 now to start the year. They're feeling pretty good about themselves.
I have 2-3. What happens when they go see Cleveland and Deshaun Watson just back from his 5-game suspension?
I just would love to know. I mean, could it get to as many as 6? I should know the precedent.
Well, the precedent was 6 for Roethlisberger, and I think it got trimmed to 4.
Okay, so maybe they start with 6 and it doesn't actually get to 6, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
because if it was 6, and that would be the biggest break. That's the kind of break, Tom, that could honestly make your season if Deshaun Watson's not playing in that game in week 6. Because I think by the time we get to the end of this, we're going to be looking at their record and we're going to say, they're hovering around. I'm going to have them at a better record than you are, but they're going to be right on the precipice of the postseason. And whether or not Deshaun Watson plays in that week 6 game could make all the difference.
Okay, well, I have the Patriots at this juncture at 2-4. We've also seen that before. Okay, it happens.
We have. I've got them 3-3.
Monday Night Football for a showdown between Justin Fields, who I thought the Patriots, that's the guy I was kind of crossing my fingers for in 2021. I said, kind of want Justin Fields. I just thought the ceiling was higher than Mac Jones. Now, I kind of like the high floor of Mac Jones. Be that as it may, Patriots are going to go into Soldier Field, Chicago Stadium, and win that night. A really good one, 28-27. Mac.
I think it's a home game. I think that's at Gillette.
Yeah, that's right. The Patriots, part of it is the reason it was so close is they actually went out to Chicago. They landed at Midway, and then they're like, no game. So they had to come back, and this was all on Saturday. They come back, they get to the stadium, but Mac hits Kendrick Bourne on a skinny post late in the 4th, and that ends up being the game winner.
Usually the Patriots are up on their details a little bit better than that, so should never have even been that close. Robert
was pissed.
That's an expensive flight.
What are we doing? We're just flying around the country now? I mean, I know we have our own jet, but have you seen the price of fuel? Back at it again. It's 10:30. It's the Halloween game. They're at the Jets. Boy, if I've ever seen a 1:00 game, it's Patriots-Jets in 2022. Patriots take this one over Robert Saleh and the boys. Score, 24-13.
So I've got them now through 8 weeks at 5-3, and people are starting to get a little bit, maybe even out of control on the Patriots bandwagon, because Mac Jones is looking like a borderline top 10 quarterback. This whole coaching staff thing is actually not working out all that poorly. 5-3, your New England Patriots in a premier position to eventually find themselves in the postseason.
And I have 4-4, and I'm going to be candid here. here on May 12th, just a few days after Mother's Day, I know that Carson Wentz isn't the quarterback for the Colts. And I know that it's not Phillip Rivers or Andrew Luck. I know it's not Curtis Painter. But I can't tell you who's playing quarterback for the Colts as I sit here right now on November 6th. Who's their quarterback?
Matt Ryan.
Jesus.
Matty Ice, baby.
You know how like all the names and the changes, you just don't have it mastered yet?
Yeah, the quarterback tree. It got really wild this offseason, so I don't blame you for that. Now, does that change your projection so that you still have them winning that game?
Yeah.
This to me is a swing game. This is one that really could go either way.
Right before the bye, they're not going to do the same shit they did last year. Well, actually, before the bye last year, they beat Buffalo, but they're good before a bye.
I've got this one as a win too. So now they're 6-3 headed into the bye, and they are they're still in second place in the division. The Bills are scorching hot to start.
They're actually 5-4. Coming out of the bye, and this is great for them. They're going to be home against the Jets. Now, remember, in 2021, they come out of the bye, they go to Indianapolis, they're feeling good about themselves, and they get absolutely hit in the side of the head with an Easton stealth. Just they had no idea what was going on for the first 18 minutes of the game. They lose. This time around, though, they again take care of business. This one's actually a blowout, really feeling themselves 39-20, and it wasn't that close.
I would have gone Easton Black Magic there. That's just maybe my generation versus your boys' generation of stealth. The stealth feels like a newer edition of what they're working with there. But yes, I've got this as a W as well. So now it's, boy, what do I have them at coming out of the bye?
You got them
2, 3,
7-4 now.
5, 6. That seems aggressive, but let's roll with it for now and see how this thing shakes out.
Next up, Vikings. I have them for a W at Minnesota. That's a Thursday night game. That's a Thanksgiving night game. But the funny thing about that is that it's the Anthony Barr return game. He re-signed because there was a spate of injuries for the Vikings at the linebacker position. And Anthony Barr got out there and hadn't played all year. And he actually had a late hit on Mac. And it led to extending a drive, and the Patriots win that one 24-23 on a Nick Folk field goal.
I thought I was going to get grim here for a second, but it didn't. I think the Vikings are just not a great football team, and that's another team. It's another team with a new coaching staff. Probably I don't know what the Viking schedule is, but Thursday night probably a short week for them. I like the Patriots here too. So they've got 8 wins through 12 weeks.
Yeah, I am at 7-5. Phil has them at 8-4. And boy, I don't like the way this goes down. A week later, again, a Thursday night game. That's what I got, folks, and that's what we're going with because I wanted to be early with this thing.
Better to be early than right.
It's 2022. They're playing the Bills on a Thursday night, as far as I know. And they are going to go to Buffalo. They're going to host Buffalo. And this is, again, where the wheels start to get wobbly. Okay? Early in the game, Jonnu Smith, who'd actually been having a real good game, he was the AFC Player of the Month in November. He has a ball glance off his hands into the arms of Micah Hyde, who returns it down to the 20, pitches it to Jordan Poyer, who takes it the rest of the way in. Mac Jones hit from behind during the return by Paul Posluszny, and the Patriots lose. Patriots lose to the Bills.
Paul Posluszny, also comeback player of the year, as it happens. This is a loss. So I think it's pretty easy. We haven't gotten to our second Bills game yet, but to me, this is tracking, Tom. This is tracking. This is how I anticipated the season going. It looks like they're on track to basically split their division games, which is, I think, the kind of team they are right now. So I have this as a loss. We'll see how the last couple play out at the very end of the season. But I've still got them at 8-5 going into week 14 on the road, Arizona. And this is, Tom, this is the gauntlet, okay? Yep. It starts with the Bills. You could even maybe say it starts with the Vikings and Thanksgiving, but I really don't think they're very good. To me, it starts with the Bills, and it's this 4-week stretch, week 13 through week 16. You might even say
all the way to 18.
You say it's through 18. I think they're going to split with Miami, but let's not get there just yet. They go to Arizona. I think they beat Arizona. Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury has just not been good late in these seasons. So I think they win that game on the road.
Yeah. I got them losing that game. No, I got them winning. I got them winning.
Yeah, you've got them winning.
Right at the end. Yeah. there was a booth review, because in the last 2 minutes and they win. Then it's the next week. The Patriots decide to stay in the desert. They stay in Vegas. Again, the Patriots have to start. What's the kid they have drafted his name from Western Kentucky?
Bailey Zappi?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with Posluszny.
Oh, right.
So that's why I had them so nip and tuck with Arizona. He again has to start against the Raiders, and it's not close. It's not close at all. Bailey Zappi has a horrendous game, and wins 37-12.
Now, here's what would be fascinating about this particular matchup. And boy, would the network executives and Frank Gaudelli and everyone involved with Sunday Night Football just be licking their chops for this one. Because what if something similar happens to Derek Carr?
Bailey Zappi, Jarrett Stidham?
You get, so that would be probably the sexiest from our perspective. But the one that I like the most is it's Zappi v. Mullins. Mullins is going to be the number 2 in Vegas. They signed him earlier this offseason, and Mullins is the carbon copy comp that I was given by a quarterbacks coach before the draft for Bailey Zappi. So you've got 2 guys with borderline NFL arms that are very quick and can get rid of the football and are tough, and their teammates are going to like them. And you've got those 2 guys going at it on Sunday Night Football. Mullins, Zappi, Belichick, McDaniels, Sunday Night Football.
It is a true battle of the brains. Who can hide their quarterback more precisely?
But that's a loss. That's a loss.
It's a lot of pencil chewing from Matt Patricia, a lot of screaming and pacing from Joe Judge, and the heat's starting to get turned up on those 2, because now they're going to play the Bengals at home, and the Bengals are going to show that they weren't an apparition in 2021. They're going to come in here and take care of business. They're going to improve to 13-2 with the win.
Whoa.
I know.
Man.
Bengals are 13-2, and they actually sew up the number 1 seed in the AFC.
So I've got them at 9-4 going into this game, I think.
The Bengals?
Or 9-5. No, the Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
I've got them at 9 wins. Listen, I think the Bengals are legit. They're going to be legit for a while with Joe Burrow there. So that's a tough one to project a W for the Patriots, even though it's at home. So they're now 9-6. They're now 9-6 for me.
Okay. Well, I have them at
you've got them at 8-7.
8-7. And now people are starting to sweat. And they're like, oh no, they've lost 3 out of 4, and now they're playing the Dolphins, and they haven't beaten the Dolphins in 4 meetings. Make it 5 meetings.
Oh boy, wow! You've got Mike McDaniel sweeping the Patriots in year 1 as a head coach.
Yep.
With Tua Tagovailoa behind center.
Yep. Devontae Parker, bad hammy, can't play that week, and Tyreek Hill.
I can't get on board with that. Is Mac Jones back by now with the Posluszny injury?
Okay, he's back, but he goes 13 for 27 in a windy day, and Cole Strange gets benched. And
oh no!
Yep.
Wow.
They've had enough.
No, that's a win. That's going to be a win.
Scott Necchia calls into EEI. It's like, well, I tell you, I mean, I don't know what they're doing.
No.
So they lose. So
I don't agree with any of what you just said.
8-8.
I've got them at 10. That's a 10th win. This is they're making the playoffs maybe right now.
8-8, and they are rooting. They're saying, why can't it be a 16-game season? We're about to have another losing season, second time in 3 years, and we're going to be playing at the Bills, who have something to play for because they're trying to chase down the Cincinnati Bengals. They think they have a chance at it because they mathematically a couple weeks earlier thought the Bengals had sewn it up. And then the schedule makers got back in there and they looked at some things and it wasn't sewn up. So this game does matter to the Bills, who are at home at Rich Stadium, which is no longer Rich Stadium. And it's the last game there. And Bills Mafia is tearing up the seats. And they're just, French ticklers flying around the end zones and just everything, a full on, Adam and Eve store.
That to me means there could be just enough chaos in the Orchard Park region to maybe shake this thing up to the point where the Patriots come away with it. But I'm not projecting that. But I am projecting 10-7 here, Tom. Is that enough to make the postseason? And you know what? I actually feel good about this because I've felt like, and I've been saying this for a long time now, the Patriots aren't so bad that they should be coming back to the pack by multiple games. You have a good quarterback who's going into his second year. You still have Bill Belichick. You've improved the offense, which is the most important part of your football team. You've improved the receiver room, which is the second most important position on your football team. they shouldn't be falling back to the pack by multiple games. I know they have a hard schedule. This is a hard schedule, but I've got them. I had them for 10 wins 2 months ago, and I still got them for 10 wins here today.
All right. Well,
that's consistency. That's all you're getting from your boy here. Listen, I'm nothing if not consistent.
No, he's metronomic. I'm the guy who's a little bit of a snap case, and you can ask me on May 17th, what did I have the Patriots at? And I might say I had them at 11-5, and you'll say, sorry, man, it's a 17-game season. I'll say, oh yeah, okay, then 10-7. I won't know. Some guy just yelled at me. He goes, you really see Bill going with 4 losses down the street? He said this on Twitter. You really see that happening the second year in a row? Like, I don't know. It's May 12th. Don't hold me to it unless it happens. Then I'll say I knew it.
You'll say you were all over it. We'll pull it up. We'll have it. Right. It'll be a full screen on early edition.
So the accuracy of this is to be questioned as to the final record, and the accuracy of the schedule we just rolled through is also to be questioned. But let's use that as our blueprint. And we have to get this pod out to you as soon as possible because it's late in the night. We usually like it to come out earlier. So I'm going to say that this schedule was 95% accurate. Good night now.
I feel good about it. Great job by you.